Hey guys, what is up? It's Sonicgott. It's been too long since I've recorded a video last, mostly because my job has made things very difficult for me to do things, and I'm about to move out here in just over a week. Yeah, getting yet another new place. I'm in an apartment at the moment. Things have been bad and blah blah blah, and I've been trying to figure out what I want to do. Now, here's an interesting tidbit of information. I have been on YouTube for a very, very long time. I'm not trying to show off, maybe I am. Let's see, I've been on YouTube longer than Markiplier. I've been on YouTube longer than PewDiePie. I have been on YouTube longer than even Captain Disillusion. Except Jacksepticeye. I think he started a month before I did. But, in any case, I like watching gaming videos. And a lot of these gaming videos have some very interesting insights and opinions. And as a YouTuber myself, I give my own opinions. And sometimes, I'll admit, I say things that I should have thought about a little bit more. So I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I had posted a comment on the Sai's channel about his reviews on Sonic Mania and why he thinks that the game isn't as good as it could be. And the difficulty was expressed in a specific manner. I'd recommend that you watch his video, and whether you like it or hate it, just watch it anyway, because I think it is still informative and I think it's worth a shot. But I also want to take a moment and recognize the fact that he read my comment and recorded it and had a rather witty response to it. So let's watch that right now, shall we?
Too much whining about very minor details. I hear complaints about Dark Souls, but what it truly is that the difference between an easy puzzle and a difficult one is knowing the answer. It's called figure it out and use your brain, or get good as the kids say nowadays. Is he speaking English by the end of that comment? I'm not even sure. I think he just sucks at the game. You should probably get good at the game. It's simple. You just suck. And lots more comments along that line, but yeah, you get the idea. So, first of all, I want to point out that none of the comments under that video actually specified why I suck. They just said that I do, generally. Like, no, in what specific way do I suck? Point to some video footage in that video and tell me how you would have done something different. I am actually really curious. I don't even think that the vast majority of the people who are calling me bad in the comment section of that video actually think that, oh, his gameplay was the thing that frustrated me. I think more that I was just complaining about the failure states of the game implied to the audience that I experienced them a lot, and that therefore that was angering me. Like, I want to clear something up. My entire time playing the game, I did not get a single game over. Like, the fact that I was bad at the game and got game over after game over after game over, that didn't happen. I'm not complaining about the game overs because they frustrated me specifically. In fact, as I say at the end of the video, I think the game's too easy despite all those flaws. No, when I'm complaining about the game overs, I'm complaining about them on principle. Regardless of whether or not they affect me or not, they are still a shitty design choice. And second, going back to that get good thing, let's talk about get good for a second. Now, where did get good come from, do you think? Well, obviously the Dark Souls community. They were the ones who popularized it. But there is one very important difference between Sonic Mania and Dark Souls. You want to guess what that is? One is actually difficult and the other is piss easy. Here's the thing. The reason that get good is a thing within the Dark Souls community is because you have to get good to play that game. You have to reach a certain skill level in order to beat the bosses in the first place. But in Sonic Mania, I don't need to get good. As I say in the video, I can tank hit after hit after hit, running into literally every single obstacle in the level and still pass with flying colors. Because the ring system is a really weird health system that doesn't tie into actual skill. so you don't need to get good to play Sonic games. Now, you could say that not being good is a failure of mine, but I would say that not forcing me to be good, if indeed I'm actually bad, which I don't think that I am, but if you think that I am actually bad at Sonic games, I would say that the failure to get good is not a failing of mine, but a failings of the game, because the game at no point made me get good. In Dark Souls, you have the gargoyles fight, and if you can't beat them, if you're not good enough, the game stops you, stonewalls you, and says, halt! You cannot continue until you've reached a certain level of good. And therefore, the players who play that game are forced to get good. They're stopped there until they can jump over that fence. But Sonic Mania doesn't make me do that. I can just stumble my way dick first to the entire level with zero consequences. So why the fuck am I motivated to get good playing a game that just I can walk through anyway on easy mode? It's fucking bullshit. I don't think I actually need to get good, because as you saw earlier, none of the comments who are saying that I need to get good actually point out the specific flaws that I'm doing. I think that I play platformers to a perfectly acceptable standard. I'm not a fucking speedrunner for the game or anything, but I'm also not that guy who played Cuphead for Polygon, right? I can do basic shit. But as I say in the video, I think the core gameplay of the Sonic games is inherently flawed and leads to this type of attitude of, oh, you just need to get good. And by get good, they don't mean actually get good, they just mean play the level a billion times until you memorize it. Because otherwise, there is no possible way for you to get good. If you're running headfirst into spikes at 100 miles an hour and you need the 0.0001 second reaction time necessary to jump over them.
Okay. First of all, that was like the funniest long-winded response I could ever listen to. I see some of the points that you're trying to say there, Sai, but here's the rub. Every video game has a certain level of difficulty, and every video game has a certain level of progression. Some things about certain games can be considered easy by some people, depending upon the type of mind that they have. There are analytical gamers, there are think-on-your-feet gamers, and then there are gamers that will try over and over and over and over until they succeed. But that is the fundamental of every game in existence. Despite on how people think of things, every single game out there is try until you succeed. That kind of falls along the lines of what you need to do in life. You try over and over and over, you're going to make mistakes along the way, you're going to run headfirst into obstacles that you weren't expecting. And for some gamers, they like that type of game. For other gamers, they hate that type of game. It's very opinionated. That's technically what a review is. It's a amalgamation of one's personal opinions and what they think about the game. There is really no right or wrong answer. And get good, by the way, is just kind of a joke. What I had intended to elaborate behind this statement is that even myself, who have been playing Sonic games for a very long time, when I started, I sucked. I ran into walls, I ran into obstacles, I drowned, I died a lot. I probably got pissed off and threw my controller at the wall like a whining little child. Well, I still kind of do that today. But anyway, as far as that goes, shit happens in a video game. It probably all boils around the design of the game. As far as Dark Souls go, I've never played Dark Souls, but I kept hearing things about it that made it very difficult. And my understanding of what difficult is whether or not you know the answer. So when people have to use their skills to figure out how things work in a game, okay, I need to dodge this, I need to perform this action at this certain time, I need to do this at this time, I have to put this block over here to make this happen, and blah blah blah. It is an ongoing learning process. Video games have a happy medium between where a game has a certain level of challenge or difficulty versus a certain level of forgiveness, and when you make a mistake, how much should the player be punished, or, say, how far should a player get set back depending upon what has happened. Take World of Warcraft, for example. There are many different varying levels of puzzles and challenges within the game that has a certain level of punishment, if you will, or admonishment. So, for example, when I take on a boss in World of Warcraft, a PvE situation, player versus enemy, it is scripted. It is a puzzle. Players actually find out that these puzzles have multiple ways of solving them. There's different strategies. And when you aren't very geared for the fight, you have to follow mechanics much more closely, as opposed to people who overgear the fight and they have incredible amounts of power that they can just rush through certain elements of the game that are no longer a threat to them. With Dark Souls, and this is from my understanding, again, I didn't play the game, so I probably might be missing a point here or there. I won't be afraid to say that, oh, hey, I don't know everything. But it all boils down to learning how the game functions and works. Dark Souls is a think on your feet type of game. It rewards you for being quick to respond to things, for looking at the surrounding atmosphere and your platforms and how the enemies behave and respond. Now, going back to World of Warcraft, when it comes to things like player versus player, well, now it's not scripted. It's completely random. The behavior of the player is really what you're looking at, finding patterns in which they behave or how they counteract to what you're doing. People are very active when it comes to player versus enemy. People are very reactive when it comes to player versus player. So, that being said, you have some very good points, Sai, and people are going to have various different opinions on what is easy and what is difficult. Everybody has their own way of doing things. There's really no right or wrong answer. And with a video game, there is no limit to how long you can try until you succeed. You're basically going against yourself. Do I continue to do this until I am successful, or do I give up and move on to a different game? What game designers want you to do is to feel like you have been progressing. For some people, that can think on their feet and have more of those greater challenges, success is really measured in a player's want to play. And game developers want you to continue to play. So they're going to spoon feed you very slowly. This is part of that balance of design on making sure that you're satisfied with your current progress. This is where a lot of game developers can be kind of frustrated at times. If there is no progress, if these players are trying their absolute hardest over and over and they're doing everything that's expected of them and they still fail no matter what they do, that is when they decide there's something not quite right here and they're going to quit. Well, game developers don't want that. Dark Souls was targeted to players who love a really specific type of challenge. You're not really being spoon-fed success. They're being fed one drop at a time of success. And it's just amazing to me how some people can like that type of game. To me, I hate that type of game. I hate mountains upon mountains upon mountains of challenge. That would just make me incredibly frustrated and want to give up and quit. But maybe I'm that type of gamer. Sonic the Hedgehog, to me, I think it's fun and enjoyable, because it is a learning process of where the traps are and where the spikes are and where the pitfalls are and how far the water goes and what the enemies do to behave. It is a memorization type of technique. It's no different than playing match the cards on the table and see where the pairs are. Because once you do figure out a solution to that puzzle, then the game does become easy. Apparently, I guess from what I'm taking from what you're describing, is that players really aren't punished enough for making a mistake. That you can breeze right through it no matter what you do. Like, victory's handed to you on a silver platter. Oh, you just lost all your rings? No big deal. Just collect one ring and continue to push on forward. Maybe they could put a greater challenge into that game in that sense, or make pitfalls or part of the game that doesn't feel like it's just running into you unexpectedly. So there could be an improvement on that type of thing. In case in points, have yet to play Sonic Mania. I don't have a console to play it on, but I've played many other Sonic games to know where you're coming from. So, case in point, you make good points. I understand. And get good as a joke. Let's just agree to disagree on certain things. I love you, Sai. You make good videos. But, live and let live. Anyways, my name is Sonicgott. Thank you for watching, and have yourselves a good night. Peace!